This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever. I think about this every day. I think about this all night long. I stay awake not sleeping because I'm thinking about this.
Alright, hello, and welcome to a little bit of the latest and greatest version of Branded in Master Duel. All thanks to a handful of cards that we don't have access to in TCG. We're going to be playing some Branded Synchro today. Yeah, this is pretty different from the typical Branded list you're looking at here, you know? Where's the Despia cards? Where's Oliver and all that? Well, we don't play those. We don't play any of that stuff because we're not really doing much fusion summoning. Yeah, there's 6 fusion monsters in here, but we're only really making 1 or 2 of them, and we're mainly just doing synchro combos. There's a couple things I want to talk about here in this deck that are not present in the TCG, and that is, most importantly, Chaos Ruler. Interestingly enough, Chaos Ruler isn't part of the mainline combo I'm doing in this deck, but it is very, very good, and it helps you extend and play through interaction, and as well as being very good follow-up, and it's a good generator of additional bodies, but you don't need it for your normal mainline combo. The additional stuff is, of course, we have 2 copies of Chaos Space instead of 1. It's a lot better to have this at 2 than at 1, it's just so much more consistent, you can see it twice as often. And of course the other difference from the TCG is, a couple of the negative one is the fact that Druid Swarm and Branded Fusion are both limited here. Branded Fusion isn't too much a problem in the TCG version of this deck, I side it anyway, and you're not really trying to go for this, it's just really good when you do draw into it. If you've been interrupted or on turn 3 or something, or maybe breaking boards going second, but it isn't your main line, so don't worry too much about resolving this. The only other difference is Sheeran. Sheeran's at 2 instead of 1, which is also way better. Sheeran's an interesting card to see in this list, given we're not really doing any tier stuff, but mainly we're using her effect for the hand effect. It's really good to mill in this, just to get a few lights and darks engraved. It fixes bricky hands where we have a lot of bestial stuff, but not really any way to get names engraved without going really minus. And if you do manage to get her in the graveyard by a number of methods, including Cartesia, or tuning, or milling off of herself, or milling off of Chaos Ruler, or even like summoning her and popping her with Baron, you can fuse her with Cartesia, or Alaba, which becomes Albaz Engrave, or Albaz, or even Albion, to make a random fusion monster, or even make the Greenall, which can be really insane as well. The mainline combo, though, revolves around Assault Synchron and your Bestials. I'm thinking about maybe playing an additional Bestial, just to bring up the numbers as much as possible. This is like 1 less than I would normally play, but the restrictions are pretty tough, and I think this is fine. So you may be a bit confused why this guy is in here. So Bestial Alba is actually fills a niche that nothing else really does in this deck. His effect on the field I have never activated, but he does become Albaz while on the field in the graveyard. Which, while it's funny, that means he is not a legal target for Branded Regained, and him being on the field doesn't make Branded Beast live, despite him being on the artwork, because you don't control a Bestial monster. Regardless of that, he fills the niche that he is a Bestial that can be foolished with Saranair, that then becomes Albaz in the graveyard, for something like Cartesia, or Quam, or something like that, but also, he is a target off of, you know, Quam herself, because he mentions Albaz. He is a target off of Mercuria, because he mentions Albaz, and he's a tuner, and he's a dragon. He actually enables a lot of different weird stuff that nothing else in the deck really does. The main thing is that send-off Saranair that enables you to have a Albaz engrave without actually resolving an effect that puts an Albaz engrave. The other service goes for playing typical Albaz dragons. We're playing Alba Lenesis because we're going to have Albaz on field pretty often, and it's just insane into Dragon Link stuff, and you can... yeah, this is just a really insane card, you kind of have to be playing it for that slot. Titanic is in to send mainly, but it does get over a bunch of stuff if you fuse with Branded Fusion into it, or Cartesia. We play Striker Dragon because we can link off Albaz or Alaba into Grave if we need to get a name engraved, to get a light, to get a card in to grave, to banish for Bestial that at minimum makes a seals. You know, opening a Bestial plus Albaz is a seals at minimum. That's not great, but it is something. It's better than, you know, bricking from that. Anything that I haven't explained is just, you know, the Bestials because it's already standard, or stuff that's gonna be shown by the gameplay. So I'll show like a going first replay, and then we'll show over a going second replay. Alright, well, after finishing recording, I did realize there is a couple changes I could have made to this, so I'm just putting them in here tail end of the deck profile. I did cut out Zeus here to put in an Almirage. Now, as it turns out, you don't end up going into Zeus that often, especially given the XDs you're making. Can't attack. It pretty much anything matters when you're playing something like Cash. I feel like the other decks with XDs that you could maybe attack into to cause a Zeus summon aren't what you should be making the Zeus against anyway. So yeah, I feel that Almirage is a lot better here because it's another way of getting these hands that are a bit bricky out of the way. Say we open, you know, multiple Assault Synchron or Mercury, for example. Mercury is a very bricky card to open because you can't really get engraved in anything except Sharon and Chaos Space. So, you know, you can just normal it and link it off to have something to banish for Bestial, and the same with Assault Synchron. But yeah, that's why that's in there now. So yeah, the Almirage is probably gonna come up more than Zeus. Alright, so starting off with our going first replay for the combo setup, we're gonna be playing interesting matchup here. Alright, so we open the combo. We open Tuning, which is access to Assault plus any Bestial. We have Albion to send an Albaz if we don't mill Light or Dark off of the Tuning, so this is pretty much everything. So, we're going to start with the Tuning, get our Royal Assault Synchron, and pitch a Maxi. Unfortunate, but that's fine. We have the Albion, we're going to send Albaz, and we do draw into a Quem. Very insane draw. We're going to go Quem effect, sending on Merc, getting a Druso and bash the Merc. Merc is going to add our Cartesia because we already drew the Albion effect. We're going to go summon the Assault. Now, this line does play into Nib. If you want to play around Nib, you can do a line that just basically makes Baron and doesn't go for the Dissipator and Extension and stuff, and maybe ends on Seals. But I usually just play into the Nib because it's much rarer that people actually are on it. At least from what I've seen so far. Maybe that'll change as the metagame develops, so maybe this playline will change. But at least at the minute, I don't think you need to play around Nib. Most people just aren't on it, and if they are on it, it's a one-off or cross-out. Like, I don't think you need to worry about it. If you get punished by it, yeah, that'll happen. If you get punished for playing into it, but most of the time, you're more likely to get punished for not trying to go for a better board. So we're going to go into the Excel Synchro here. Excel Synchro activates as Chain Link 1 and our Quem Chain Link 2 to bring back the Albaz and the Assault. Then we get to go into our Dissipator. Right, now, here's the issue. Our line requires us to have access to Bestial Lubellion all the time, but fortunately, we can do that pretty easily. We're going to go summon Cartesia. Cartesia is going to fuse off with Albaz into our Greenall. Greenall is going to send the Saronir. Saronir is going to send Lubellion. We get a tributed Dissipator with the Lubellion, which triggers our Assault Synchron's effect. Because a Dragon Synchro is tributed, we can banish it from grave to summon back the Dissipator. The Dissipator can then summon back the banished Assault Synchron to the field. Then our Lubellion, of course, gets branded regained. We get to Synchro 10 into Baron. We get to summon a Bestial that we just have left over here. And then, you know, we get to do additional stuff with regained. Draw into Assault, that's pretty dead, that's fine. We can make a Seals. So we get this additional stuff because the extra bodies, but even without the normal stuff, like say your hand was, you know, Assault, Lubellion here, you end on Baron, Dissipator regained with whatever your other cards were. And here that gave us access to a Quem and a Seal on the opponent's turn. And we have a Greenall in the graveyard to trigger. We have a Quem we have a Cartesia to add back. We have a Quem can revive the Albaz. We have Lubellion for follow-up. Our regain can bring back our Druisworm or Baldrake. It's typically going to bring back Dissipator just for safety's sake, but we do have an Assault Synchron if they have some way of outing our Dissipator anyway. Let's see what happens. Of course, getting it back with Cartesia. They're going to start with their own Lubellion. We're just going to Ash this. I feel like I can deal with Brand Infusion pretty easily here, so I'm just going to take the gamble that this is something like Dragon Link, where this card is just insane. So they go for a Saronir to banish the Greenall. Fair enough, I'm not too fussed about this, I'm not going to negate this, so I'm just going to let that resolve. But we do get to summon back our Baldrake, and get to put the Greenall back to draw a card. I'm perfectly fine with getting that. And we do, of course, draw the Maxi here. They're going to chain the openings of that. They're going to summon an Alba by pitching another Lubellion. At the regained. Regained here. Put some back to Lubellion. The draws off of the Maxi don't really matter here. That you can pretty much ignore that it exists, I'm pretty sure. We're going to go for Seals. Bounce the Lubellion before they get an opportunity to use effects. And then we're going to summon a Magnum up from deck. They're going to bring back a Saronir, but it doesn't really matter here. But yeah, they're going to go Thrust at the Brand Infusion. I probably should have just Baroned this, there's a very low chance that this last card in hand is Brand of Fusion. We know the other card is Rebellion, so I probably should have just negated this thrust, because if I negate Brand of Fusion, they have the Regained Engrave to add it back anyway, which is exactly what they're going to do. Problem is here that they know if they try and go for something like Albion, I'm just going to negate it with this Peta on summon by putting back the Retribution. So they go for a big Titaniclad to hopefully get over something, but of course that is vulnerable to the Baldrake. They're going to try for Mercuria, but maybe they did forget that they have a card banished now, because we get this Peta put back their Retribution to negate it. They can maybe draw a card, and that's all they're gonna have to get over just the Quem. But yeah, pretty much as we add Rebellion with Magma and switch to our turn, this is pretty much game already on board. I'm gonna bring back the Quem though. Gonna send the Alba, might as well. Switch, and yeah, we can do a bunch of his setup. None of these cards we drew off Maxi really mattered, honestly. The Chaos Space, all that. Like, we have a Soul Synchro plus a Rebellion, which is access to basically everything, and we already have almost lethal on board, so yeah. Here with our going secondary play, we're going to be playing into Mathmech here, and they're going to resolve pretty much their whole combo, and we're going to break it pretty much entirely with Engine. So yeah, our hand here is pretty good. Like, we have the Magnuma, which is obviously the best Bestial to open, going second. Beast is a pretty much a dead draw. We're not going to be doing anything with this. Albion's a upstart. This could be anything. Shirin and Cartesia is fine. This does make a green all, but that's pretty much it. Like, this Magnum really has to resolve and has to search Rebellion to really do a huge amount here. So let's see what happens. So if your opponent's going to start with Circular, because they always do. We are going to... Here, I play maybe a bit of a greedy play, but because it's Magma specifically, I know that with it resolving, I can safely just Bestial the Diameter with whatever I add with Magnuma if they manage to resolve everything. So I'm just gonna Magnum it here to potentially just cut down on their combo if they don't have enough extenders. And if they do manage to extend, we've got the Magnum search for whatever to stop the Super Factorial anyway on our turn. So here he does have the addition. He's gonna add an equation, a problem version, this all typical stuff. And his diameter. Blast Mage. Yeah. You've seen all of this 200 times before, like, I don't need to go through this. And there's the send for the negate and set 2, and presumably, I'm presuming here, under the worst case scenario, that this is the sign of conflict, which would be really, really bad for them to have opened, given, counter traps can be devastating here, but we'll see. So, unfortunately here, I'm not going to be able to safely add Rebellion, because if we add Rebellion here, we pretty much lose to them just using Superfac in response to it, because we don't have a Bestial in the hand yet, and they know it. So we're going to be adding Jerusalem just to make sure we can out this Superfac if they do turbo it. If they do shotgun it. Right. So we draw a call by turn, which is pretty good here. This is another out to the Stop Engrave. It's also an out to the Disave one, but we don't really have another spell trap it's going to do anything to. The Bestial's already covered in the diameter, so this isn't really doing a huge amount unless they, put something in grave we have to deal with. They're going to go for Soul Draw here. We're going to just go draw a card with Albion, and we're going to draw the Quem, which is an insanely good draw here. We're going to go for Quem effect, sending the Mercuria, just to try and set the standard line, and because we have an Albaz Engrave now that we sent off of the Albion, we're going to summon Cartesia. Now this is a fantastic game state here. They have an opportunity to do something here, but they don't know what deck I'm on. Every card I've played at this point makes it look like I'm playing a normal branded list. So they're thinking, oh, they're going to use Cartesia effect, and then revive with Quem. So I hold my interaction for when the Cartesia activates, because otherwise they're just going to chain Cartesia, which allows us to just immediately go into a Dispater and trigger a Quem targeting our Albaz. They're not going to expect that you're playing Synchros, they're typically going to expect that you're playing branded stuff. And they even have targets for us to negate monster effects now, so we've just put a monster negate on the board, probably just completely blindsiding them, and we're setting up for a Mirror Jade make, which they now need to have a counter to. They go for the Terahertz here to send an Aggregator, we summon the Albaz, we're going to push the Beast because it didn't do anything here. They're going to chain the Aggregator, we're going to chain the Call By on the Aggregator. Unfortunately, they do have the cross out. So, us, just drawing into the Call By doesn't really matter because they just have the cross out, these trade 1 for 1. So this is still pretty much just an engine versus engine matchup. Okay, so our Albaz gets negated. That's fine. We're going to go Dissipator Effect, take their level 4 tuner that's banished. Then we're going to go into a Chaos Ruler. We're going to Chaos Ruler Effect. And we hit a Sharon and a Bestial name. So we're going to add the Bestial, hit the Sharon. Sharon Effect activates, and we get to put back the Cartesia to make a Granguinol. We get to go Granguinol, send the Lubellium we were waiting for, which lets us summon it by tributing Chaos Ruler, and then they're gonna concede. Because there is just no real way to play through that at that point. Only non-engine we used was Called By and a go counter by Crossout. That's me breaking a full Math Mech combo with entirely engine, and I didn't resolve a brand diffusion. Alright, I got one more in me, and you may be asking, Sam Skarlon, what is that interesting little menu on the left there? What is that interesting little... What is that? Oh, that's real. Is that a deck tracker? Yes, it is actually a random viewer that is communicating me psychically through the screen. Leave me alone, please. Yes, that is a deck tracker. You can actually download this yourself using my affiliate link in the description. UntappedGG is a really cool service that are really updating their website startlingly fast, actually, and with some great improvements. They just recently overhauled their stats page and added a tier list system that tracks the performance of various decks from all the different people that have the app installed. So the more people that download the deck tracker and play with it, the more accurate the analysis of the meta will actually be on the tier list by getting actual win rates from actual decks being played on ladder, rather than, purely relying on tournament results. It's not perfect yet, but it's definitely going in a great direction towards something like made by the same people, the Hearthstone deck track with HS Replay, which I've always been a huge fan of. So yeah, you should definitely go click on my affiliate link in the description at UntappedGG and download this thing, because it's great. It's really useful. Alright, so let's see how this one goes. We're going to go for our Chaos Space, very normal, pitch the Saturday, get all the Bellion. Saturday is going to send us a Baldric just to have that engrave to return later. Probably should have sent Alba here, but it doesn't really matter too much. Looking for Magnum Effect, let's tribute the Magnum, kill the Bellion getting our regained, normal summon a Cartesia. And we're just going to go for a brand new fusion line here. We can just do this if we don't have access to assault stuff. We can just go for a normal fusion line. It's going to be slightly weaker than a typical branded line because you don't have access to red and ad libitum, but it's still pretty competent until there's plenty of follow-up later on. I'm going to fuse off, get our green all going. Greenall's going to send out Titaniclad, and now, with the new patch, we can of course summon our Quem and send an Albaz, so we have an Albaz to revive in our opponent's turn. And this is a pretty decent amount of interaction. We can of course get Beast with Albion and add a Bestial. So this is still a lot. We don't have Adlib Chimera stuff, but this is still a lot. Our opponent's going to activate a Cyberduck card, we're just going to pop that to prevent from adding. They're going to activate Clockwork Knight, so this is very scary, because, we can't let any Sidra hit the field, because we will lose our entire board instantly. So, basically, our entire thing right now is Mirror Jade has to clear whatever Sidra they summon, and if they summon more than one, we kind of lose. Or at least, we lose a significant portion of our board. So let's see what they go for here. And they're going to get Chimera. Chimera isn't a Sidra, so fine. We're going to get a Magma, and they'll search. They're going to go searching a Power Bond. They're going to go for Thrust and get a Cyber Emergency. Interesting choice. They're going to go Cyber Emergency, getting a Nashta. That is a Sidra, so we have to keep wary of that. They're going to special summon it, and they're going to go an effect to revive. We're just going to... 1, 2. We get our Green effect here, and we get a Mirror Jade effect here, and we're getting a Bestial. So we're just going to cleanly knock out all 3 of these, and that's going to be the game. Very simple game. Obviously, a very stacked matchup, but just a little demonstration of using interaction, dealing with the opponent's board. But also... just a little demonstration of the deck tracking work there. You see it moving throughout the game. So yeah, that's the basic sort of way that you play this deck. There's obviously a lot more nuance to this. I didn't really demonstrate in using Chaos Ruler going first, because it's so difficult to really demonstrate that. I'll try and maybe get some more content on this out in the next few weeks. I'll maybe try and get some streams out. The main thing is, I think you should try this out. I'm doing really well with it. It's really fun and really difficult for people to play around. Most people just completely forget that Assault Synchron has this Grave effect, which makes it your board basically just immune to kaijus. Go try it out. Let me know how it works for you. And I'll see you in the next one.